Welcome to Leadership Beyond Burnout. I'm your host, Dr. Kimberly L. Wilson, and you have reached a show that focuses on women in leadership and emerging women leaders. Today, our guest is Michelle Hon. Now, she was once a dedicated stay at home mom and is now an internationally acclaimed speaker, author, and mentor for mom entrepreneurs. Her ingenious in demand framework has catapulted numerous businesses into coveted six-figure realm, all while preserving invaluable family time. Media giants like the Lifetime and Channel News Asia have featured her, and Zine hailed her among the top 10 mom influencers globally. Michelle's transformative mentorship earned her the prestigious 2022 World Women Organization Global Leadership Conference Mentorship Award. Now, with a harmonious blend of nurturing motherhood and thriving entrepreneurship, she embodies modern success while inspiring countless others to follow her path. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello, Dr. Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is definitely my pleasure. Um, I was especially intrigued. Now, there was a study, and I forget exactly who did it. They said less than 12% of women entrepreneurs actually make it to the coveted six-figure range, that most are making less than 30,000.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
it's
an
a really
astonishing number.
yeah, and so it's astonishing to hear that you've helped not only done that for yourself, but helped other moms to do that.
Yeah, I think it's funny, right? I mean, before you reach that, it seems like it's such a coveted number. It sounds like it's so big. But now that I've reached it and I've seen so many people have achieved it, when you say there's only 12%, it almost like, how is that possible? It's so easy. It's not that hard. It's sort of like, I think at the end of the day, it has to begin with the belief that it's not hard.
Mm. So you think that they go into it thinking it's an impossibility and create that impossible outcome.
Yeah, I very much think so. I mean, I came from I was a stay-at-home mom, and prior to that, I was working for corporations, and I would work, the typical 9 to 5, sometimes even overtime, and I was only earning $36,000 a year.
Wow.
So to me, is to earn that in a month right now, even more than that in a month. It sounds ridiculous. How do I even get there, right? But once you've been there, it's very much like you never been to a place, but once you've been there, it's like it exists and it's all normal.
And you know how to go there over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And
You
it's
don't
not hard. It's not hard. Yeah. But we first need to believe that it's possible for us.
right. And I think one of the most amazing things I when I was watching your Instagram videos, a little Instagram stalking, so you only spend about 4 hours
Yes.
on your business. I'm
Yes, I do that
amazed.
now. Thank you. Well, I really started my business from home because I wanted to be there for my children. But initially when you first started your business, you still have that employee mentality, I suppose, right? That the harder we work, perhaps the more profit or revenue we would generate. So I would spend all my time and working even longer hours, not earning much. And then I suppose, from learning, many years of learning and failing, and really finally figure out that, hey, I need to switch my mentality. Now I own a business. The business is supposed to run without me, not running me to the ground. So so I managed to sort of slowly taken steps and cut down my hours and really put a lot of system in place so that it runs without me, so that I still have that time for my children. Like my children, they're still pretty young, from 7 to 11 years old. So I have three, and so they still need a lot of my time with them.
Right, right. So what was that like, that period when you were working harder? I don't know if you were getting close to burnout or what. Just share with us how you
Mm.
experience that.
Yeah. So what happened was before I had kids, before I was the stay-at-home mom, I used to have a soup and salad bar business in Singapore. We have a few outlets, and being in food and beverage business, we have to open for 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Pretty much 9 to 9 p.m. 9 a.m. we open. Like Singapore, we open till late, and in Asia people do that. So 12 hours a day. And it's really hard to get how to say staff. Sometimes there's a high turnover. Sometimes I have to be there all the time, and I was okay with that before kids, right? But once the kid came along, it's like, what's the point of having a kid and I'm gonna send the kid to a baby care center and I'm working all the time and not seeing her at all.
Right.
So I eventually decided to close down the business and just, okay, maybe I'll just gonna be the stay-at-home mom. I didn't know of another way to earn an income. So 6 months into the whole stay-at-home mom gig, I realized that I need to be doing something for myself instead of just waking up and thinking about what should I do with this baby who's not even verbal right now, right? So this was back in 2012, and back then people were starting blogs, and I thought, okay, I'm going to start a blog from home, and I'm try to monetize it somehow. I did not know how when I first started, but
Right.
I'm just going to start anyway. So
Mhm.
got that started and learn online, watching videos, paid a lot of money learning from mentors, courses, eventually turned that business into a maternity concierge business where I help
Mm.
expecting parents plan the arrival of their babies, because
Okay.
that was what I was blogging about. The knowledge is the same. I was still
Right.
going through pregnancy, early motherhood, and this is while I was having children every 2 years. Right? So I was still very much in the trenches and knowing about
Right.
what products, where to sought for help, and all of that. So
So there
yeah,
wasn't
so
a big learning curve because you were doing that anyway.
yeah, exactly. So the knowledge, the sort of like the things that I was going through, I was just sharing my experience. It's just
Mhm.
that the offer is different, right? Before I was just writing for free and maybe getting
Mhm.
some brand deals and getting some sponsorship for my blog, but I was still sort of like waiting to be picked, me, right? And there's so many mommy bloggers out there
Mhm.
versus, hey, this is my concierge and I could actually do more to go out and sort for leads and turn them into customers. And really, I don't need a lot of customers. Remember, the purpose of the business is also because it afford me to be to be at home with my kids. So
Right.
really, in a month, I really needed 1 or 2 clients, and that was good enough.
Okay.
And but of course things grow, things go out of hand, and people were like looking at me and like, oh my god, Michelle, I follow you since you were this mom, stay-at-home mom, and then now you have a business. How did you do that? I'm like, oh, it's not one, there's many people started asking me on Instagram, on my blog, by email. I'm like, okay, there must be a need here.
Right.
Obviously I'm not the only one going through this. So then I started consulting one-on-one. So that's like another thing on my plate. So before I know it, all of a sudden I was juggling 3 kids, all under the age of 5,
Wow.
sort of like have this 3 version of the business, right? The blog was still ongoing. It's still
Mhm.
ongoing today. And I have this maternity concierge business, and now it's consulting plus 3 kids. So at a time, it was a bit too much. And I just try to like fit in wherever I can, not getting enough sleep, and was still very much holding most of the reign at home, like, remember stuff about kids.
Right.
And I suppose I just wasn't a very nice person to be around at home.
Right. Irritability is a big thing when you're burnt out. Let's
Yeah.
let's take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
Greetings, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli, host of Energize You TV, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to Fresh Takes right here on E360 and get Reikified and energized today.
That was so ironic. We talked about being burnt out and not having any energy and irritability, and there's a commercial about having energy.
brings
Right.
back the calmness into the show.
That's right. So, how long did it take you to really notice? Or did your husband say, babe?
Yep. So one morning, I still remember we went looking for apartments. We went house hunting at that point. I was doing better, much better
Mhm.
already, and we can afford bigger apartments. So we went out apartment hunting, and right after that, we have some time in between before picking up the kids and everything, everything again. And so we had some time to sit down, and he was like, the kids are, I feel like you're different. He was putting it very delicately, and
Because
and
he didn't want to
I
get his
mean,
head.
I know it too, right? Whenever I walk into the room, I'll see like, and I'll start nagging and shouting at everyone, right? Because I
Right.
felt like I'm doing everything, and why you guys, you should pull your weight, but I just didn't know how to express it really well. And
Mhm.
once he brought that up, and I had to agree with him, and I'd say, I know that I don't like this version of myself either, but I
Wow.
really felt like I had too much plates on my hand right now, and that
Right.
at any point one of these plates going to come crashing, like if I'm like behind on anything, and everything's going to fall apart. That was exactly how I was feeling, and
Right.
I told that to him, and he was like, I didn't know this. Why didn't, what can I help? What can I take off your plate? And so since then, he had kind of, slowly, a little bit, or remembering to pick up the kids. But I still had to remind him at like what time, kids
Mhm.
finish school at different time. I still had to remind him. But over the years, he had gotten much better. Now he's just sort of like, if he sees that I'm sometimes so immersed in my work, he'll just go. And then he'll just text me like, I'm picking up the kids today.
Ah,
So, well, we have the luxury of working from home, both of us. So he can provide that support for me.
oh, beautiful. And I think you really shed some light on something that I hear so many women say, just that frustration and resentment at their partner or their spouse. And a lot of times they're kind of oblivious to your experience because many times we're not articulating like, hey, this is problematic because so many women do many hard things so gracefully until it comes crashing down, they don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt like it's just something that I'm supposed to do.
Mm,
Just it's not major, it's just kind of little things that adds on, like, oh, the kids now has a new enrichment, oh, we're supposed to remember, oh, now that they're going to swimming, we got to pre-pack the swimming bag, those little things that really adds up. It's the mental load more than the doing. Like, I don't mind the doing, it's the mental load that's weighing us down.
right. I know one thing that would always sandbag me was, I need this for school tomorrow. Like, I need to know much earlier than that.
Exactly. Well, I've taken the stance now that tomorrow, all right, you go to school without it. You should have told me earlier. Right? It's not my responsibility anymore. I've since learned, many years since that, not to let things sort of affect my calm. Like,
Mm,
I wake up feeling great about today, and whatever that happens, if I don't let it, it should not disturb my peace.
beautiful. What other things did you do to kind of um, recover from that incident to bring back calm and peace in your life?
I think knowing that he now understands, and that he is helping, he is trying to help, that helps a lot emotionally, that
Okay.
I'm not taking all this on by myself, that I'm not all sacrificing, that he realized that, right? I think it's a lot of the resentment is that I'm doing all this and you don't even realize. But the fact that, my husband realized now and he's helping, that does a lot. I mean, of course, I still get into moments of frustrations, feeling like, why is this still me? But I suppose, like, then I would think that, it's okay. I mean, he does his part too. There were
Right.
when he was handling this. So I think that's kind of helps with the equilibrium a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Well, good. So for you, so much of it is just having that person there to bond, to be in the fight with you, and
Yes,
you're not
exactly. Yep.
alone.
You say it perfectly.
Now, I noticed that you've kind of integrated your children into the business. How they
Ah,
love being on videos. How was that?
well, I guess when we were young, they didn't really have a choice. They didn't know. They thought this is just what we do, right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's how I like to see it. Instead of, people like love to ask, how do you manage work-life balance? And I really don't see it that we need to have that perfect 50-50 balance. I don't even understand where it comes from. Who
Mm,
say that life has to be 50-50 balance for us to be at our happiest self,
mhm,
right? Someday it could be 80-20, it could be 80 work, and I see my kids 20% of the time, and I'm perfectly happy with that as long as I get my work done.
mhm,
I felt like a sense of achievement out of that. And because I know that there will be days that I am able to take 90-10, right? 90% of my kids, and then maybe 10% of just logging in, making sure everything is okay.
right.
And so that's sort of like, okay with not a perfect balance, and that life and family, especially with technology these days, it doesn't have to be like a separate thing, right?
Mm,
It's all together, it's integrated. So very much whenever I have speaking engagements, I make it a point to bring at least one kid with me. And
mm,
I think that's good learning lessons for them to see that, oh my God, mommy's perfectly okay to speak in front of people, and they're proud of me. And I always reference them when I'm on stage and they feel seen. And I think that that's perfect. So whenever I can, whenever I have any engagement that I'm allowed to bring them and that they're not being left alone for too long, I'll bring them
right.
along. And I
Wow,
think that's a
that
great
must
learning
be
experience.
that must be so powerful for them to see mom on stage. I mean, people are afraid of public speaking, and to see your
Yes.
mom being a giant.
Yeah, and that I think that absolutely helps to shape who they are today. So at school, they needed to do a lot of presentation, and I'm proud to say that my kids have no problem with that. They're okay, and they're like one of the they would memorize the script, and they're able to speak loudly and softly, or sorry, loudly and clearly, because I've shown them. I'm not just a mom who say, oh, you should be this, you should be this, but I've never done it myself. I
Right.
show them that, oh my God, mommy's scared. I don't feel like I'm really ready for this talk, but I did it anyway.
Yes, I love that, because I am a firm believer in the fact that courage is created. Like, you don't
Mm.
just start out with it, you have to manufacture it and just do it.
Absolutely, right? That self integrity. We know that, hey, we're doing it despite being not perfect. And I think that's what inspire people. We don't inspire people because we're perfect. We inspire people because we continue doing what we do despite the imperfection.
Right. Showing up, imperfect actions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I imagine that one of the things that really draws moms to you that want to become entrepreneurs i- is the fact that you do have that balance, integration of your family into your business and into your life, because that's a big thing, feeling guilt because I'm leaving
Mm.
my family behind, or leaving my kids behind. Or do you not find that?
I think there were times that I felt that when I first started, of course, when I was working many, many hours and still not feeling like I've done enough. But since then, I have found ways to, of course, first of all, cut down on the hours. But I still do. There will still be time when they're at home and I had to be on a meeting and kids
Mhm.
just hang on for like 30 minutes, right? But I think I've gotten better over the years, because I know that, as I mentioned, I know that there will be times that I'm fully 100% for them.
Right.
When
Right.
they're home, I'm just there. They want to play chess, I'm there to play chess with them. So I think that also helps them to be more independent. And I think since young that, them seeing mommy working while they're playing by themselves, that builds that independence to play by themselves. Because I hear a lot of moms who are like, oh, I love to do what you're doing, Michelle, but my kid just won't leave me alone. They won't be able to play by themselves.
Right.
They won't leave me alone. But I'm like, oh, I think it's kind of like you need to get them used to playing by themselves. But if you're always around, you're always just hovering over them,
Yes.
of course that's what they tend to get used to.
Mm-hmm. I remember a time when my children were little, and I needed them to be I really needed them to be independent, and I sent them to visit my dad for the summer, just a period of time, and he was so upset because they were so independent. Like I would, I had everything arranged. Okay, the snacks are in the bottom of the refrigerator. He's like, they're going in the refrigerator. They're not asking permission. It's like, yes, I created them that way. I don't want them to need me every second and every minute. They need to
Exactly.
be able to do things.
Yeah.
So the moms who come to you, they get a new mindset about how to be mom then.
I think if that's what they want. Right. I think I think everyone probably have their own ideal way of what being a mom is. But I suppose if you also want a career outside just your family, I mean, I respect all moms who are there for the children 100%. Like I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, right?
Mhm.
My mom didn't do anything. She was a brilliant woman, self-learned many languages by herself.
Wow.
Did not finish high school. Had us really young, and I've always heard her saying that once we're a bit grown and more independent, then perhaps she would like to start a business. But that day, unfortunately, did not come for her because she passed away when she was 35.
Oh,
I was
wow.
only 13. I'm the eldest, so I was 13. My younger sister was 11 and 9. So I think
Wow.
because of that, seeing my mom, I take her sort of like the lesson in her death that we should just go after what we want to do, right? We should just
Right.
live our full life right now and not wait, right? Who
Right.
knows what tomorrow's might bring? And I think like one of the big why of why I'm doing this is also because of my mom, right?
Yes.
There's so many women who has been in that situation and never really know how to get out of that. So I think, with what I've learned, what I've failed and tried, I hope to bring other moms who want more out of just being a mom. I mean, if that's you, that's okay. But if you yearn for more, there is this third option for you.
So you've given her dream really wings so that no other woman would have to go to the grave with her dreams.
Mm. I never seen it that way, but thank you.
Absolutely. If your mom were to look down and see you, what do you think she would be thinking right now?
I hope she'll be proud.
Yeah, I bet she would be. What was her name?
Andrina.
Andrina. That's beautiful. You've fulfilled. Wow, you've lived her wildest dreams. Probably exceeded them.
Oh, well, she had high expectation from me. I mean, we're Asian Chinese, so she was a bit of a tiger mom. you know, she really put all her hopes on us and like, study, study, study. And I was doing really well as a kid, in school and all of that. And but halfway through, I sort of and also I didn't grow up with a well-to-do family, and so I just finished high school and immediately go and get a job. I did not finish my theory education, and I think that part would have disappointed her.
Mm, okay.
But I'm glad I sort of found my way back. I like to think, yeah.
Right. And I'm a firm believer that additional education is not for everybody, especially in today's world with technology. It's if that's not your thing, do the thing that you love and that gives you wings. So many people have not gotten
Mm,
further education and have done
mm,
quite well. So,
yeah. Well, I have since, invested into programs and all of that sort of shape who I am today. So
right. So that's another great point because it doesn't have to be traditional education. You found the other paths. You're still on a
mm,
path of learning and
yes.
growing. And so technically, you've gotten a little MBA.
Took me a while.
Right, right, right. Let's go to another commercial and we will be right back.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
And welcome back. Now, tell me about your in-demand system. Can you give us a little hint about how that works?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for asking that. So In Demand was created for women entrepreneurs who have started a business because, again, too many times I find that people are working way too many hours, working way too hard in their business, doing all the things, and still business is not growing, right? A lot of them would tell me,
Mm,
"Oh, Michelle, well, they know that they need to go on social media because that's the form of marketing where everyone is doing right now. And they'll be like, feel a bit disillusioned. Like, how did I become a content creator, right? They'll spend all the time trying to create content only to get a few views, a few likes, and not really converting people into customers. So what I've come to learn is that instead of you doing all the thing, most solopreneur, right? Most women entrepreneur that come to me, they are solopreneur, or maybe they have a few VAs that help them, but they are still doing all the things. They are still answering email. They're still the one coming out with ideation, posting, commenting, delivery of products, right? What else? Networking, trying to do all the things, right?
right.
Spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And it feels like they wake up and they feel like, okay, today, what should I do again to get that leads, right? So I'm a firm believer in just do a thing that create assets, what I call it, creating assets into your business so that the assets work for you even when you don't. And there are 6 assets that I teach inside In Demand. Number 1 is, do you have a strong pitch? Like, what's the clarity in your business? Very often when I ask someone, so what do you do? And they'll be like, I'm an accountant. And okay, and that's like, okay, accountant, right? But what if, right, if you answer it this way, I help small businesses save thousands of dollars in taxes every year. And that immediately changed to, oh, I'm a business owner. How can I work with you? Or at least make people feel like I want to find out more, right? So your pitch is number 1. If you're not clear how you're different from your competitors, you're gone, right? Like, okay, right, another accountant. All right, okay, I don't even know whether they work with me or work with MNC or whoever it is. Okay, so number 1 is your clarity in your pitch. The second thing is your content. So the way I see content is not just social media content, which really would not reach any more new people within 2 to 3 days, right? Unless it goes viral, maybe for 2 weeks, let's say. But as in content that's evergreen, maybe like a blog post, that's good at SEO. Podcasts like these, right? I mean, years from now, months from now, people may still be watching this and go, "Oh, who is Kimberly? I felt like I may have burnt out, and maybe she's the person that I should talk to." Right? Or Michelle, whoever it is. So things that's more evergreen, where people were to Google your name, they are able to find you and establish you as that person, the expert in your industry that they want to work with, because hey, people want to work with the best. Who wants to work with the second best, right?
Right.
And then the third thing is that comes to online profile. Again, let's say you have a strong pitch and that your customer wants to refer you. They will say, "Oh, I work with Michelle. You should work with Michelle." And that they go to Google, they type in Michelle Hon, and they find nothing about Michelle.
Right.
Right? But in today's day and age, Google is really like the yellow pages and a bit of like an ad, right? So if they Google my name right now, they'll find pages of not just me being mentioned in my own website and social media pages. You can also find other people mentioning me. You can also find me on your podcast right now, other people's podcasts, news, medias, right? So that adds up to that credibility and trustworthiness. So that by the time hey, I would like to find out whether you can help me, they're half sold already, right? So the conversion would be a lot quicker. What else? So we're done up to the third one. And then after that, your offers. What do you have to offer, right? It all comes down to your product. It's not just, "Oh, I'm selling a pen." How do you package it? So do you have different prices? You have different offers that you can sell to people at the different points of their journey, back to being an accountant, right? So do you have a package for someone who have not even incorporated their business versus someone who have 10 employees? So different packages.
Right.
And then we go into, hang on, the fifth one is your online funnel. For those people who are in digital marketing, you would know what is a funnel, how to get people into your email list, and that you have an automated system that continue to serve these people with either emails or assets, sort of resources that you have built, so that they are being served while you're on holiday, while you're sleeping at different time zone. They're being served. So we no longer need like a shop front and you have this salesperson serving this person, right? So you use online marketing to do that. And finally, partnerships, collaborations. Once you have all of that in place, you're just really putting more fuel to the fire by forming partnerships, getting people to promote you.
Right.
So those are the 6 assets that I think women entrepreneurs, or all entrepreneurs, should spend their time building these instead of doing the low level thing that you can outsource to someone else.
Right. And so when that combines, it creates another beautiful little baby that is also independent and can take care of you.
Exactly. Perfectly put.
Wow. And I could definitely see when you have all those assets in place, you definitely feel less burnout. You have more time available for your family. You have more to give even to your customers because you aren't doing the heavy lifting and you aren't becoming resentful towards your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not waking up worrying about money, where my next leads are coming from. You know, there's a pipeline of leads and they are being served. And that those who wants to have a call with you, they're pretty much halfway there. And now it's just matching them to sort of, okay, what do you have to offer? Does it match, right? Is it a match? You actually can choose who you want to work with at that point, because they already know you. They've already read up on you. It's not like a completely cold leads that you're trying to convert and trying to convince them that you're great and all of that. All the assets is done all of that for you. So you're in a better space as well when you have that sales conversation.
Right. So you have these mini commercials all over the
Exactly.
place. And by the time they come, it's like when I go to get a shoe, I already know what shoe I want. I just need to see, does it fit the way I want it to
Yeah. Do they
fit?
have the size? Right.
Outstanding. So what is next for you in your journey?
I think it's so easy. That's a really good question, by the way. It's so easy to look at what people in my space are doing, and they're all going back to physical events, talking at conferences. While I still do some of that, but because at the end of the day, I was just working with my own mentor as well. I said, I love to do that, but then I don't want to travel so much either. I want to be there for my kids still. But how, right? So in the next 5 years, we figure it out that my youngest would still be needing me a lot. So it seems like I wouldn't be able to, throw big conferences and events and all that. So I think I'm at a really good place now that I'm able to serve people from home, right? I think
Mhm.
things are still online. And I suppose it's just really wanting to reach out to more people and just make a difference to other people's life.
Mhm.
But what's really changed for me, I think, like, still be there and yeah, nothing would not a big change, I suppose, for the next 5 years. Nothing that I could do that is substantially different from what I'm currently doing,
Well, I
because
mean,
my
but
kids would still need me.
yeah, but there's beauty in that
Mm,
clarity that you love your life as it is and you
mm,
want to maintain that. Like, and
mm,
you have your business already doing the heavy lifting for you. So it's going to continue to support that lifestyle.
absolutely. Yes.
I think sometimes we get tripped up because it's like, okay, what am I reaching for next? Sometimes we don't need to reach for anything. You've got
Yeah.
everything you want.
That's true. That's true. That's true. We got to be happy at where we are right now before we even get to the next level, whichever level where we want to be, right?
Right, right, right. So, how does I know that both of you, like you said, both of you are in the
Mm,
home
mm,
working. How
mm.
does that work?
Pretty good.
Okay.
We're lucky enough now that we have again, how to say, move into an even bigger property. So
Mhm.
he has his own man cave, his own office, and I've got my own office. And so in the morning, well, he has an office in Singapore as well, like because
Mhm.
we live so kind of like just outside of Singapore right now. But we
Okay.
can drive into Singapore and it takes like half an hour to get into Singapore. So he would go into Singapore once a week. I would go maybe once 2 weeks whenever I'm needed there. But during the day we would wake up with the kids, walk the kids to school, and then get to work. Sometimes I go for my yoga, whatever. We really don't really see each other much during the day, and maybe we'll
Okay.
meet in the middle for lunch. We'll have lunch together, or we might go out for lunch, a cafe or something, and then we'll go about our day. So although we're both working from home, we don't see each other that much, I would say,
Mhm.
until when the kids get home. And that's when family time begins
Right, right,
around 3
right.
p.m. And wherever we need to ship the kids to enrichment, or whether they're staying at home, that's when we start, planning for dinner or cooking together and just really spend the rest of the evening
Mhm.
together. Yeah.
Right. I think that when you said in enrichment, I think those periods of time when my children were in gymnastics and
Yes.
football and robotics and all those other things, it was something I loved doing, but I have to admit, like looking back, it was a little stressful. Just getting them to all the
Mm,
things and so many things are so competitive, I feel like, for
yes.
children, unnecessarily competitive. And there were a lot of emotions to manage.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I think I'm actually like the better one compared to most people who are in Singapore. That what I know, a lot of kids go to tuition after school, and that's not even enrichment. So they're just learning extra maths, they're learning
Mm,
extra English, they're learning extra so that they will be more advanced in the class. So because of that, all the parents are sort of like pressurized to also send their kids to tuition.
Mm.
So yeah, it becomes a thing here in Singapore where people are just like extra education. Well, I like to think that I'm slightly better, that I'm sending my kids to like swimming or gymnastics and not extra academic like learning anymore. And I think that there's way too much.
Yeah. And so you've just taught me something about Singapore, because there's some people who send their children for additional academic learning, but mostly it tends to be when they're not performing well. And so it's not like additional enrichment so that they can be their best. It's usually because they're not getting it.
Because they're behind, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what happens in most countries. When you're behind, yes, you want to catch up. But in Singapore, is so that they pre-learn what the teacher is going to teach them in school, which is really, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, that's a different concept. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how Westerners would do with that model.
Yeah. But I think like that's why I think my kids are really happy now that we are not in that system anymore. And that's partially the reason why we sort of moved out slightly from Singapore. While we were in Singapore, they were in that system where everyone is like very ultra competitive. And even though we're not at home, she felt a lot of pressure in school.
Right.
And so then
we're burning our kids out early sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So now we are outside. So they're now in a Canadian IB program where there's no like tests, and this is all about personal growth throughout the year. And she's much happier. And I think that's what really important for our kids, right? To feel a sense of achievement and not just being competitive for the sake of, hey, I'm better than my classmates.
Right, exactly. Tell us about this free resource that you have.
Right. So the number one thing that moms tell me, whether they're in business or they're not in business, is that I don't have time. I don't have time for myself. So that's why I decided to offer this resource to our audience. And it's really a download, a quick PDF for you. And it's a short explanation of what you should do with the PDF. It helps you really audit your day and find out whether is everything you're doing aligned with what you're trying to achieve that year. And you'll find out that a lot of the time when you say that I'm busy, that you may be doing a lot of busy work that doesn't need to be done, that you could take it off your plate, that you can take it off your to-do list, free you up so that you would at least have 2 hours a day extra to now spend it on yourself, either whether you're into self-care or you want to build your business, or you want to, hey, just spend more time reading. A lot of moms say reading's out the window. No, not reading anymore. No time. But hopefully this resource will be able to help you at least get that 2 hours back in your day.
Oh, that I know you'll have a lot of downloads from that, because
thank you.
Everybody wants extra time. Who can't do with extra time? And I think we're all doing unnecessary tasks when you think about it. And then we wonder, like, well, why aren't I achieving and reaching my goals? For me, it used to be, oh, that's because you spent an hour on your phone playing a game.
Yep. They're like, oh, I was just going to check a quick DM something. And then before you know it, half an hour gone, right? And then half an hour here, half an hour there. It adds up. It all adds up.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you today, Michelle, for being here. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience that maybe I didn't ask you about or should have asked you about?
I had a lovely conversation, Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me. And I think, I mean, if anyone have any question, you can always reach out to me. We can have, whatever it is that you have question for me that I can help you with. If I can, I will. But for today, I think I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm really glad that we had this conversation. And thank you. It's 8 a.m. today. Right now, it's almost 9, and so I feel like I'm starting my day on a great note. That I'm able to share all of this with your audience.
Yes, and I'm exactly 12 hours. We're 12 hours different, so it's almost 9. So I'm ending my night on a good note. And I was just so inspired by the fact that you are living your mom's dream and you are helping others to be touched by her dream as well. That is so beautiful.
Thank you, Dr. Kimberly.
Okay, well, talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is Dr. Kimberly L. Wilson with Leadership Beyond Burnout. Don't forget to join us next week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. And until then, see you later.